welcome to the Island Lamb. I'm Diane and this is episode 25. And it's all about Block Island, celebrating, and of course some summer knits, because now we're in summer. And I wanted to start this episode with that little introduction you saw, because it is about to be the 4th of July, Independence Day in the United States, and that's a big holiday, especially on Block Island, especially in your resort towns. We have lots of boats in the harbor, sailboats and power boats. We just had a big race around the block called Tri-Sail. It was a successful race, and beautiful sailboats going by every day with their spinnakers on. We had nice wind for them. We have a parade, and the parade will be on the 4th. We'll have our fireworks on July 1st. And my husband and I are hoping that we can sit on our front deck and watch them, because they fire the fireworks off a barge off the beach, which is directly in front of us. So we're hoping we'll have a clear night and no fog, and we'll be able to maybe have a nice dinner, maybe light our little fire pit and watch the fireworks from the house. And one of our traditions is to put the bunting on, and of course we have our flag flying. And I do enjoy using lobelia and diamond frost, bacopa, and red geraniums in my window boxes to perk up the house, and also have that little bit of a 4th of July flavor to it. So also I wanted to tell you that my friends came out to visit, our friends came out to visit last weekend. And these friends come up from Cape Cod, and they spent the weekend with us, and we had a great time together. We didn't care about the weather. We finally got out and we did a little browsing around town on Sunday. But Friday and Saturday we pretty much sat around and chit-chatted and caught up with each other, ate some great meals. And I want to tell you about this cake that I made. And I want you I wanted to tell you about the cake and also the website. So this is Sparrow, Sugar and Sparrow is the name of the website. So it's sugarandsparrow.com is the website, and she's also on YouTube, and on YouTube she's Sugar and Sparrow, and her name is Whitney. Well, this cake got my attention about a month ago because my husband and I both love pistachio, we both love raspberry, and I wanted to do something special. I usually do a lemon blueberry cake, or I do some kind of a berry crisp. But when I read this recipe, for one, I knew it was going to be a bit of a challenge. Two, it was going to give me a good opportunity to test out my new stove. I had to buy a new gas stove, and to make sure it was level and that, it was calibrated properly. I figured a cake is the best way to go. So I'm showing you some photos of this incredible cake. So this cake is called the Raspberry Pistachio Cake with Mascarpone Buttercream. Now the recipe said you could either make it with 3 6-inch pans or 2 8-inch pans, but I liked the excitement and the wow factor of the taller cake. And plus, these same friends of ours years ago gave us a beautiful lime green Murano glass cake pedestal. I hope you don't mind that I'm spending a little time talking about these things before the knitting, but this is what's been going on in my life, and I wanted to share it with you. So anyway, you buy pistachios that are unsalted and shelled, because you're going to grind those in your food processor to kind of a coarse grind, and that's going to get mixed into all the dry ingredients. So that's going to be the flavor of the cake primarily. It will be pistachio, there's some vanilla extract in there, there is some almond extract, there's sour cream. It's a very moist and yet texture, taste. Also, I put a few drops of green food coloring, and you don't have to do that, but I wanted the contrast of the green, and then the inner layers are frosted with a raspberry buttercream. And you buy freeze-dried raspberries and you pulverize those in your food processor so they're like a powder. And then with confectioner's sugar and butter and almond extract, and of course the dried raspberries, you get this beautiful, as you're seeing in the photos, this beautiful luscious pink fluffy buttercream frosting that you put in between the layers. And you also do a crumb coat. I had never made a cake that was so so elevated that I ever had to use a crumb coat before, but I really like the concept. So the concept, for those of you who don't do a lot of baking with frosting, is you do a thin layer so that you don't have the crumbs coming through on your final layer of frosting. So I did the crumb coat in the raspberry. And then I think the highlight of the cake is this mascarpone buttercream frosting that the whole cake is eventually frosted in. And it recommended that you could try using a pastry comb, a cake comb, which I didn't have one, but they were very inexpensive online. So I bought this kind of plastic. It looks just like a comb. There were 4 in a package. They have different designs, and I put the cake on I have a little Lazy Susan that's in my cabinet where we keep all our vitamins, and it's easy to twirl it. So I took those off. I lined that Lazy Susan with aluminum foil. I put the cakes on a heavy-duty cardboard ring, so I would eventually be able to move it onto the pedestal. And because it was on the Lazy Susan, I was able to, as I got the buttercream frosting on, I was able to hold the cone, spin the cake, and get this lovely, it's not, you'll see the photo of the original from the recipe, and you'll see mine. It's not perfect, but I think it came out pretty good for a novice. And then you put fresh raspberries on the top, and then you held aside some of the ground or coarsely chopped pistachios to put on the bottom third of the cake. So the smell in the house while we were baking, my husband helped me. He helped me read the directions because it was a lot of steps. The smell in the house, my stove passed with flying colors. Every one of the 3 cakes were perfectly level, and just the smell of that raspberry frosting. So and then I put it in the refrigerator, and a couple of hours before you're about to serve it, you take it out. I put it on the pedestal. I took it out. It was the highlight of my dining room table after dinner, and when I cut into that first piece and pulled that first piece out, and you could see the layers, you could see the raspberry, you could see just a hint of green of that food coloring, and that beautiful, vanilla white frosting on the outside. Well, it was a hit. It was visually a hit. It smelled beautiful, and when we tasted it, now all 4 of us have traveled to Italy together. We all love pistachio gelato. We all love raspberry gelato. When we bit into this cake, we couldn't even speak. It was that good. And I served it. Our friends brought us a bottle of Rosé Prosecco, and I served that with just a couple of drops of Chambord, which is a raspberry liqueur, and a couple of fresh raspberries in the bottom of the champagne glass, and the combination was just incredible. This woman, Whitney, is very talented. She has lots of cakes and tutorials and desserts, so if that interests you, check her out. That is sugarandsparrow.com or Sugar and Sparrow on YouTube, and her name is Whitney. Okay, enough of the 4th of July celebrating and the cake celebrating, and on to celebrating of what we're all here for, right? Which is the knitting. So I'm wearing the same sweater that I had on the mannequin last week, and I talked about this. This is the Plymouth long sleeve pullover. I said I had searched for this pattern, couldn't find it. It was an old pattern. However, my beautiful sister-in-law, Mickey, is a great detective, and she found the pattern. So if you are interested, and I'll put this in the show notes, it's knit with, I'm not going to get this right, knitwitcreationsstore.com. And it's the Plymouth pattern number 1865, the long sleeve cardigan, and the pattern is $3.50. And the yarn that had been recommended in the pattern was Covington, which is no longer available. But again, this is just a cotton, a mercerized cotton you could use. You could use a blend. I have it on right now. It's a little warm for me to have it on, but I really wanted to show you how beautiful. Again, this is that long sleeve, but if you push that up, I have just a little white t-shirt on underneath. I think even a little white tank or a little white sundress, or, maybe just a bralette if you've got that figure. I have it on with some white linen slacks, and it's got that beautiful, if you go back to my previous episode, you'll see it's got beautiful shaping in between the patterning, so you can find it if you're interested. Okay, so then the next thing I wanted to show you is this beautiful Vogue design. This is an older pattern too, but it is available. So this is the number 23 lace back top. And it's called the lace back top because it is this beautiful Spanish lace pattern. It is absolutely stunning on. And the lace comes, a little bit of an eyelet comes over the shoulder. Oh, can you see that? A little bit of eyelet. And the lace work continues. The back and this piece here is all one piece. And then this is the second piece. So you don't have any sleeves. You just follow a chart, and the chart is not outrageous. You do have to follow it, but I'm just gonna show you quickly. It's one chart and it's a repeat. So if you like a little bit of chart work, if you like a little bit of lace, if you're looking for a sleeveless dressy, elegant pattern, I recommend this. Now I have worn this with an off-white tee, a white tee, or a tank rather, just a tiny little strapless, kind of a low back tank. Beautiful side angle. Okay, so let's see, what else can I tell you about this? So this was designed by Vicki Square. It was published in Vogue Knitting Spring and Summer 2012. Now that issue is no longer in print. However, I do believe that you can get digital patterns online of past patterns with Vogue, but it's on Ravelry. And it is a paid pattern on Ravelry. And again, it's the number 23 lace back top. Now the suggested yarn was Bahia, B-A-H-I-A, by Scholar and Stahl. That was a 50% rayon viscose and 50% acrylic. I used a cotton linen blend. Again, we've talked about gauge in the past. If you get close gauge, you like the fabric, go for whatever. I think this would be beautiful in any number of, this particular yarn had a little bit of the linen was very fine, like a fingering weight linen, maybe even a lace weight linen that was twisted into this cotton. So, you can see the drape is beautiful. I've worn this several times. I've never washed it. I mean, I don't usually wash my sweaters unless there's it's really soiled, or I might have just soaked it in a little bit of lavender wool wash before I put it away. And maybe I didn't. I probably didn't because it's cotton and I don't really worry too much about cotton. I don't think I've ever washed it. So let's see, what else can I tell? Of course, it's featured with the Spanish lace on the back. And the suggested needle size was a US 6, a 4 millimeter, a US 7, a 4.5, and a 10.5, a US 10.5, which is a US, a 6.5 millimeter. So you are going to use 3 different needles, and I believe it's the lace work that's on the larger needle. Okay, so what do I have on the needles? Last couple of episodes, I had shown you my mother's, that beautiful cocoa knit little wrap. I said I wanted to make myself one. I think I told you I bought this gorgeous yarn, Bien Amiee, at my local yarn shop. This is mohair and silk. It's gorgeous. I finished it. I wanted to wear it for you today, but it is just too warm for it right now in my house. But can you just see how beautiful? I made this one a little bigger than Mom's. I'm broader in the shoulder. That's what I mean about you could make it wider, you could make it longer. I did cast on the recommended, and I can talk about this pattern because it's a free pattern, 52 stitches. I used a size 9 needle. I didn't even, so what the pattern has you do is fold over and then seam. I didn't even seam. I just put the 2 edges together and picked up and knit the first row. And then you're just doubling. You're knitting in the front, knitting in the back, and then purling a row, knitting in the front, knitting in the back to get the ruffle. And I made the ruffle 1 row longer. So it's very versatile. It's a gorgeous, gorgeous design. I might put this on another time, like if I'm going out to dinner and I'm wearing it, and then I'll take a photo of me wearing it and showing you. But I just wanted to see. Now the pattern calls for 2 strands of mohair. I used 1. You could certainly use 2, but I really like this thin, I'm going to put it on and show you. This very thin, lightweight, kind of see-through look. So there you go. Another fun spring, summer pattern. And I'll just put this right here. Okay, so what do I have on the needles? Well, I'm still working on the Rosemary Drysdale drop stitch pattern. I'm very close to blocking that. I've shown that to you a few times. I think the next time I'll show it to you, I'll probably have it on. However, it was so cool last week and damp. I didn't mind having a heavier project on my lap. I had mentioned to you that I bought the yarn, Berocco yarn called Providence. I bought that during Webb's sale. It came with a little booklet, which was free. And I am making the Elmhurst, which has a gorgeous raglan knit one, like a rib. It's a ribbed raglan, and it's really, let's see if I can get you that picture a little close up. I'll include some photos for you. So this morning I put the sleeves on. So it's a bottom up construction. There's a little bit of a rib. It's all stocking knit for the most part. But when you add the sleeves, you are going to have a little ribbed raglan. And it's on the front and it's on the back. And I'm working up, I'm working up the shoulders. I'm getting close. I'm decreasing every other row. I'm very happy with the yarn. Now this yarn is still available in some colors at Webs, and this is 65% plain going by. It's that time of year now, so I apologize if that's happening. I just happened to notice it this time. It's a very small airport. We don't have any jets that come in. We have a regular commuter flight that comes and goes pretty much on the half hour, and then we have some private planes that will come in. So Providence by Berocco is 65% merino wool, 20% baby alpaca, 15% silk. It is light as a feather. The project is very light. I love working with it. Because I'm working in the round and I'm working in stocking knit, I like to be able to spit splice. For those of you who don't like, another plane, sorry. For those of you who don't like weaving in your ends, and if you hadn't heard about the spit splice, and I'm sure you probably have, I just learned about it in the last few years, but you open up, the plies on the end that's attached to your work, you open up the ply of the new skein you're about to use, you put them together, you either with your, spit or a little bit of water from your water bottle, get that a little wet, and then give it a good rub up and down where those 4 pieces are now going to match. And it will felt, and it will be so strong you won't even know where that was, and you won't have any ends except your beginning and your ending. So that makes me very happy when I'm working in the round, especially in stocking knit. If I'm working a cable, you can hide your tails or your ends up a cable, but it's not as easy. Now this has a lot going on. I could have gotten away with it because there's lots of little tweeds going on, but I was still happy to be able to do that. So I'm close to finishing that. And I'm close to finishing the Rosemary Drysdale, that drop stitch pattern. So let's see, where are we now? I feel like I've been talking really fast. I've been trying to beat the planes. So let's see, where are we now? Okay, so I have a feeling that I may have covered everything I wanted to. I am going to end this, I'm only at about 18 minutes, so we did pretty good again today. I'd like to ask you to give me some feedback if you want to about the format. Like today I talked a little bit about the island celebration. I talked a little bit about the cake. I do some watercoloring and some sketching. I don't know if these are things that you would like to hear about, or if you would just like me to stay focused on the knitting. That's fine with me too. Excuse me, I did just remember something else I wanted to mention. So there's a YouTuber by the name of Ivana, and her podcast is called The Republic of Me. I've referred to her several times. She lives on the island of Cyprus, which is in the Mediterranean, southern Mediterranean. And she knits, she crochets, she weaves, she spins, she paints, she gardens. If you haven't checked out her website, it is beautiful, it's gentle, her choice of music is lovely. But several episodes ago, and I'll put this in my show notes, she did a tutorial, step-by-step tutorial on making crocheted baskets. And I wanted to show you this little one that I made based on her tutorial. Now this was my first one, and I've got a lot in it, so I'll take a few things out so you can get a feel for the shape. I have not done a whole lot of crocheting in my life, but I've always been interested in it, and it's a great way to use your stash yarn. So this is several fingering weight yarns I had left over from projects. I'll show you the bottom. It's got a very flat bottom. And because it was my first time out, I didn't go too high because my goal was to put some of my knitting tools in here. So I have my darning devices in here. I have a little needle checker. I have my little marker thing, a little ruler. And A viewer asked me, so this is another tool that I'm going to put in here, but I'm going to mention it first. A viewer asked me if I use a gleaner to keep my knits lint-free and what's the word I'm looking for? You know, to get the balls off, and I have never used a gleaner per se. I've been very, very lucky that most of the fibers I've used have held up pretty well. The one place that I have, if I needed it, has been pretty much underneath the arm. And somebody gave me, and it may have been my mom for Christmas one year, the Sweater Stone Garment Care Naturally. So this comes in this little box, and I'll show it to you. So the website is www.sweaterstone.com, and it's very lightweight, it's very porous. It does have a funny smell, and it will leave a little dusty thing. So let's say I had, you know, some pilling going on here. I would just, you know, swipe it with this. It will remove the pill, and then you'll have to shake out the little bit of silt that is going to be left. So it's coarse. Actually, I can even see the last time I used this, it was a red sweater. There's some little red fiber still left on it that I need to pull off. But this is what I have used. It goes back in this nice little box. And now I'm keeping it in this sweet little crochet basket that I made thanks to Ivana. So once I made this one, I decided to try another one. And I wanted something a little bit more natural looking, and I wanted to use it to put a plant in. So this again was just some very inexpensive stash I had. I think this is Lion brand yarn. And I gave it another shot, and then I put one of my little potted plants in there, and I'm gonna make another one. So thank you, Ivana. Okay, I do have one more project I wanted to tell you about, and I think I left the details of it downstairs. Oh no, here it is. Did I bring it? No, I didn't. So I'll talk about it in my next episode, but it's another crocheted project, and it's gonna be a bag. And I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And I just ordered some raffia yarn online, very inexpensive. I think this pattern is going to call for 500 to 600 yards, so I bought a 2-pack of this raffia in this gorgeous navy blue. So stay tuned, and I will show you that next week, and I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Those of you in the United States, I hope you enjoy your 4th of July, which will be a long weekend for most people. And those of you around the rest of the world, I can't wait to show you where I'm at and some of my projects next time. Happy knitting, and talk to you soon.